Tonight's episode is brought to you by Grim Reapers on Tractors. Don't worry about it. Let me tell you boys, this is gonna be the next big thing in the movie rental business. 24-hour rentals. People want movies, we got movies. 24 hours a day. You two are my best employees. Make me proud.
Do you really think staying open 24 hours is going to help save the movie rental business?
No way.
Then why did you volunteer us to work a third shift?
Because nobody rents movies anymore. So they sure as hell aren't going to rent them at midnight. So you and I get to hang out at work all night, watch movies, and get paid for it without any customer interruption.
That's probably the greatest job I've ever heard of.
Prologue to the movie. In 1963, a spoiled suburban child gets really pissed off when his sister doesn't take him trick-or-treating. Let this be a tale of caution to all of you negligent tarts. If you're even going to bother to buy him a clown costume, you can at least take him trick-or-treating. You can always hook up with Quick Dick Dan later. It's not like he's got anything else to do. Speaking of negligence, where were the parents in all of this? I blame them. Halloween. It's a serious movie about serious issues in the modern age, because we should all get our socio-political ideology from Hollywood.
Yay for Hollywood!
1978. Nick Castle flashes his junk at an unsuspecting nurse while she tries to have a cigarette in her car. Neither one of those things are good for her health.
I think it'll come back.
Speaking of cigarettes, 3 teenagers have a smoke while walking down the street in broad daylight because who cares?
The new millennium sucks!
Halloween. Spooky ghost costume. Don't show 'em your tits! Who says bad guys don't knock? Why don't you turn on a goddamn light?
There's not a goddamn thing we can say about Halloween that hasn't already been said. You gonna take care of that inventory for me?
It's already taken care of.
You already took care of all the inventory since the boss left 30 seconds ago.
That's alright.
Shit. I was gonna try and tell you a story while you did your inventory. An inventory story.
Well, I'm not done then. What, you think I'm done after 30 seconds?
Yeah, really.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, no shit. Hold on a second.
Tasty.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go get your refill now.
That's fine. John Carpenter's Halloween. It's your favorite movie, right?
No.
It's at least your favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that Halloween's not your... Is it your favorite Halloween movie?
I don't know, I'm kind of fond of Disney's Halloween Town. Yeah, it's probably a favorite Halloween-themed movie.
It's definitely my favorite Halloween-themed movie, favorite Halloween time movie, with also just my favorite horror movie in general. I can't help you outside of that. That's
my favorite Halloween movie featuring William Shatner.
That's a good point.
I don't know what this piece of paper's for.
Oh, weird. Where did this come from? This is a list of weird facts about John Carpenter's Halloween.
That is weird.
Huh. I wonder where this came from. That's pretty strange. You think Bossman left it here?
Maybe.
He's a considerate fella.
Legend has it, there's nothing you can say about it that hasn't already been said.
That's what I've heard.
That's what somebody told me.
I got this. I've got this.
My God, Alan, stop drinking at work. You're gonna get fired for that shit.
Bossman knew what he was getting into.
Fuck this job. That's tangy.
So, John Carpenter's Halloween, check this out. Originally called The Babysitter Murders. $300,000 budget. Once they found out they could get Donald Pleasence in the mix, They spent like an extra $20,000-$25,000 to make sure that they got him in there. Took John Carpenter 10 days to write the script. He scored the film in 3 days. One of my favorite facts. You know who played Michael Myers in Halloween?
No.
You don't, for real? A guy named Nick Castle. Nick Castle is an old USC buddy of John Carpenter. I don't know if they met before college, or they definitely went to college together, went to film school. And then when John Carpenter was shooting Halloween, Nick Castle, who was an aspiring director, he lived like 2 or 3 blocks like down the road from where they were shooting Halloween when they were making it. So Nick Castle's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to drive up there and hang out with them while they're shooting, because my buddy from school is shooting his first, shooting not his first movie, but a decent movie. He just wanted to come down there and get some experience, so he'd just show up. And John Carpenter's like, if you're going to fucking be here, put this fucking mask on. That simple. That's how he got the Michael Myers job. But on top of that, you have Michael Myers. He's played by like close to 5 or 6 people throughout the whole fucking movie. You got Nick Castle, most associated with the role. In most of the iconic shots, it's Nick Castle. He's got that really cool posture, which makes Michael distinct. He's not super big. He's kind of a small, lean guy. He's not very tall, maybe 5'8", with just kind of a slim build, and he's got that cool little stance that we associate with Michael Myers. But then you've got like 2 scenes with Tommy Lee Wallace, who was the production designer on the movie. The only reason he ended up playing Michael Myers for like 2 or 3 scenes maybe is because it involved the set, and he knew what to do with the set. Specifically, a good example is the scene when Jamie Lee Curtis is trapped in the closet. Tommy Lee Wallace played Michael Myers when he's busting through the closet, because he's the one who built the closet door and knew how to break it properly. So you got Tommy Lee Wallace doing that, and then the scene where PJ Souls goes to call Jamie Lee Curtis up, and Michael comes up and chokes her out after the ghost mask scene, if you want to call it that, whatever, when he had the sheet on.
And the glasses.
Yeah, classic. Oh, it's such a good reveal, though, like when she's getting choked out and it slowly pulls off of his face and shit. You see Michael Myers, and I love that shot. Then they hired a stuntman to play Michael Myers falling off the balcony, a guy named Jim Winburn. Like, that's the only scene he did as far as I know. Then you've got, who else was it? They hired an actor named Tony Moran to play Michael Myers when Jamie pulls his mask off when she's trying to get away from him. She kind of pulls it up to kind of disorient him, blind him, kind of just get it over his face and get him, because for some reason John Carpenter thought it'd be a good idea to waste extra money to cast a guy for that one shot, because he said that he wanted a, quote, an actor with a more angelic face than poor Nick Castle. And Nick Castle was like, thanks a lot. Then even more fun is that toward the end of production, like after all of the crew had left the set pretty much, they had to get one more shot with like Michael Myers in the distance. So like 5'2" Deborah Hill, the producer of the movie, who would go on to be John Carpenter's girlfriend for a while, had to stand in as Michael Myers. So like, I can't remember what shot it is, but you see a shot where there's a little Michael Myers in the distance with like little slumpy girl shoulders, which is pretty gold. And then it's even rumored that John Carpenter played Michael Myers in like one shot. And that's probably like, how many actors is that's played Michael Myers?
I don't know. I lost count.
Exactly. And then what makes that really interesting is the fact that Michael Myers' name is The Shape, when he is in fact technically amorphous, because he's constantly changing shape because he's been played by so many actors. Most of the actors are in a similar range of size. It's just that Deborah Hill shot where she's like literally 5'2", a little bitty tiny woman.
Yeah, I don't think most people would notice.
Yeah, no.
Because, I mean, I didn't notice.
Like I say, most people don't notice any of that. With the Tommy Lee Wallace stuff, he's a little bulkier, a little bigger than Nick Castle was. So when he's in a few scenes, I can kind of tell because I've seen the movie too many fucking times. But he's a little taller, a little more meat. But like Nick Castle himself, he's like probably 5'8", kind of slim, or at least was back then. And gave Michael Myers a really cool, like unique little look. I like it. Because every slasher villain that would follow that would be some big jacked up guy, stalking some bimbos. And don't even get me started on Jason Voorhees. He's gotten bigger and bigger every fucking movie.
Yeah,
he's like a 6'8" bodybuilder toward the end. Kane Hodder, I love him. He's good. He's great stuff, but he's fucking huge.
Yeah, I like the fact that they referred, well, in the script anyway. I thought that was interesting because that's all he is through most of the movie, is just
Yeah.
somebody seeing him from afar.
It's crazy too, because I know as a kid when I was watching it, and I would watch it a lot, it's like, you hear Michael Myers, like Dr. Loomis is hunting this guy, and he keeps calling him Michael and Michael Myers, referring to this kid he knew, and then you get to the credits and it says The Shape, Nick Castle. I'm like, ooh, spooky. He's called The Shape. He's not even credited as Michael Myers. I was saying earlier that Tommy Wallace is the unsung hero, or possibly unsung hero. I guess maybe Halloween fans know how much he contributed to Halloween. Tommy Wallace was hired to play as production designer, so he helped build the sets and take care of, bullshit like that, do art direction. But he is the one responsible for digging up the Michael Myers mask and making that happen. That was his invention. He's the one who went to a little fucking shop and bought some random old masks on clearance. And he started off with a clown mask and a William Shatner mask, painted one white. I don't think he modified the clown one too much. They never released any pictures, I don't think. But, of course, when they did the camera test, they're like, that spooky white mask is the one that seems to work. So he's the one who ended up putting that together. It's the guy who, he played Michael Myers in a few scenes. Actually married to the actress Nancy Loomis that played the character. I can't remember the other one that wasn't Linda. The girl with the brown hair. Do you know what I'm talking about? The three best friends.
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember the character's name. I feel like an idiot if I don't remember their fucking names. Talk about Tommy Lee Wallace. Tommy Lee Wallace also went to USC with John Carpenter and Nick Castle, and all three of those assholes were in a band. And even released some music videos during the 80s. When you're watching the movie, and Laurie Strode is riding with her friend in the car early on when they're smoking pot, right? Mm-hmm. If you listen closely on the radio, before they play Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult, they're playing a song by the Coupe de Villes. The Coupe de Villes are Nick Castle, Tommy Lee Wallace, and John Carpenter on the radio. Fun little bit. And that was their little throwback rock and roll band from college that they all played in together.
Oh no. I know it's about to get real when the bottle comes into frame.
I don't know if you knew this. It's very possible you didn't know this. I'm just going to assume. But the art department, headed up by Tommy Lee Wallace, used Michael Myers' infamous station wagon to haul around props to and from the set.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because they said it was the only vehicle they had that had leg room. So they could just stuff shit in the back of that station wagon, take it from here to there. So that's great. That's good stuff. Oh, son of a bitch. Do you remember the scene when Dr. Loomis is out there in the telephone box? There's a train coming, and he sees that truck off in the distance, off in the grass, and he's like, oh, there's something over here. I need to take a look at this. And he goes over to investigate, and it's the truck of the mechanic in which Michael Myers stole his coveralls, right? And, Loomis looks around, he sees Michael Myers, hospital clothing, looks at the truck, doesn't see anything, doesn't know what to do with it, he just knows it's a truck, thought Michael was probably there. Goes away, camera pans over to a dude in the bushes.
Yeah.
That dude, if I'm not mistaken, that guy went on to be a famous movie producer. His name is Barry Bernardi. And he would go on to produce almost every single Adam Sandler movie.
What an asshole.
Exactly. That explains why Dean Kunduz was the cinematographer on Jack and Jill.
How the mighty have fallen.
Because the thing is, Dean Kunduz was the cinematographer on Halloween. He would have met that guy. They said that he was super enthusiastic and was into it, but he wasn't really involved in the movie business at that time. And from that point forward, I think he worked on The Fog. He might have been kind of a producer or someone he was involved in The Fog. And then from that point forward, I think he might have done Escape from New York, but he continued to work with John Carpenter for a little bit. And at some point, he found his groove and just started cranking out fucking Adam Sandler trash. But to be fair, the dude made some fucking money.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And that is the most interesting thing about John Carpenter's Halloween, and you heard it here first.
That makes me nauseous.
I know. I feel like I need to go in the other room and throw up a little bit.
I wished he was really dead in the bushes at this point.
If only that was his first and final scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much produced every Happy Madison picture.
That's going to give me nightmares. Forget the movie.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Did you know that Haddonfield, Illinois is not a real place?
I didn't know that.
You did know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that it is named after Haddonfield, New Jersey,
I knew that.
from which Deborah Hill, the producer, grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and was a teenager, like a teenage babysitter in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and she wrote most of the girls' dialogue throughout the film, pumping all of her experience as a teenage girl babysitting and all those extremely authentic conversations between the three actresses in the main roles, which is extremely convincing given the setting of the movie. That could have gone completely wrong if a 30-year-old male tried to write teenage conversation for three 19-year-old women. 19-ish.
Yeah, they'd all be chain smokers.
They kind of were. It was the 70s. Everybody was a fucking chain smoker back then. Did you know that John Carpenter is from Kentucky?
No.
I can't remember what part of Kentucky, but he's from Kentucky. And he went to college in Kentucky at first and took some psychology courses. And he had to go visit a psychiatric institution of some kind. And while he was there, he said he made eye contact with like this fucking little kid that just seemed like soulless and dead. And he said he'd never been stared at like that in his life, and it like always continued to haunt him. All of that would go on to influence the Michael Myers character. So like all that, the Devil's Eyes stuff that he wrote for the Loomis character was all inspired by an actual experience John Carpenter had dealing with a psychologically devoid child.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you know that kid's still alive. Or probably.
Probably.
Is.
Hopefully, I guess.
Do you ever stop and think about all these movies, you know? I mean, it's come out like 10 years before you were even born.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's better than anything that's even come out in your lifetime.
I know. It's fucking frustrating. And then it makes you wonder, is it due to age and experience, or is it because of genuine quality? A good example, maybe a kid born 10 years ago, the best movie they ever saw came out in 1998, and it'll be their favorite movie for the rest of their lives. Maybe they saw The Faculty, and it's the best horror flick they've ever seen. Maybe H2O, which also came out in 98. I don't know.
I don't know. It's plausible, but I sure hope not.
Yeah, that's the thing. You hope not. I look back at this, you hear about this golden age of Hollywood, which is like the 1940s and shit, when there was so much money and the industry was at a peak. You know, they're just spending frivolously, like all this. It was the first time the industry became like a real thing. And you hear about it from directors from the 70s and 80s that would talk about the golden age of Hollywood. And when I look back at film history, I see the golden age of Hollywood as the 1970s and 80s, when, like, by the late 1960s, early 70s, that golden age had been long gone, and the studio system was almost in collapse. Most of the guys who founded the companies were selling them off because film was being considered this old form of entertainment that wasn't going to make it its way to the new millennium. And so you get Pepsi and Coca-Cola and a bunch of other people buying up all the studios. And at that time, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So they bought these studio companies and they just hired random directors, the first generation of film directors, out of film school. So you get George Lucas's and George Romero's and Martin Scorsese's and Francis Coppola's and Brian De Palma's and Steven Spielberg's, and you know the goddamn list. And all these pricks came in without any goddamn limitations, because the people who run in the studios didn't care. They just hired all these guys straight out of film school and said, go ahead, make some movies. And these dudes cranked out fucking classic after classic for 20 years until they started getting more serious about their money. They realized what kind of money there was to be made in the film industry, and then they start putting up goddamn borders around everybody. Like, okay, this works, only do it this way. And we've been struggling since the 90s, moving forward.
Surely people born like 10 years ago, their favorite movies won't be in the 90s.
I mean,
because whenever you think about the greats, you know, Spielberg, you mentioned Jaws comes to mind. That's like timeless.
Right, it still holds up.
That's going to work, you know, from now on. But I think there's a disconnect for things that are like older than the 60s when, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, as a kid born in the 80s, that like, you get to a certain point where that 35 millimeter grainy ass film, 16 millimeter grainy ass film,
black and white,
doesn't hold up. You start seeing flower children. Yeah, but the guys who knew what the fuck they were doing in the 70s moving forward. Maybe starting with Kubrick. You know what I mean? If you want to say late 60s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think I would put 60s in there.
Yeah, because the late 60s. Well, I don't know, fucking Hitchcock was in there in
Yeah.
the 50s and stuff. I'd say that if you want to talk about modern cinema in the context of the 1970s and 80s, you're starting with 2001 and maybe Planet of the Apes, where there's this glimmer of hope for the Hollywood system to stay alive moving forward. Then you got a few guys doing some experimental shit in the early 70s, and then the mid 70s it starts to catch its stride when Spielberg puts out Jaws and Lucas
Close
puts out
Encounters.
Yeah, what was that? What year was that? It was like 78, 79.
I was thinking 77 or 78.
Yeah,
something like
I was gonna
that.
say like it's post Star Wars, I think. I mean, you got Star Wars in 77, you got Superman in 78 in terms of like saving the Hollywood system. You got Dawn of the Dead in 78, clearly. It's like that late 70s period in particular into the early 80s. I really love movies from the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite gap from like 76 to 83, 84 maybe. Of course, that's coming from slightly, horror movie fan. But
Yeah.
during that time, though, there were no restrictions. You got a movie that's like Gremlins. What year was that? 84?
I think so.
Ghostbusters in 84. Gremlins, I think it was like a PG movie. It's like vicious as hell. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
that was before it got fucking stupid.
Well, even the comedy was better.
Oh,
Or-
yeah, because there were no, that's the thing. It was
Well, I wouldn't say better. I mean, there's been some good comedies in the early 2000s.
early, that's kind of where
Yeah.
it started to
But,
die out, though.
I don't remember when was Blazing Saddles made.
Oh, it's like 74-ish, early 70s, mid 70s.
That one
Oh
really
my
stands
god,
out.
it's fucking amazing.
Or pretty much any Mel Brooks at that point.
Yeah, it's during that period. Wait, maybe I might have mixed the year up with Young Frankenstein. I'm not sure. Just checking the inventory. 1974, Blazing Saddles.
Knock that off the list.
Yep.
Well, actually, we got to put that on the list for a Blu-ray.
I'm a big fan. Like, I love slasher movies. Slasher movies is a nostalgia thing to some degree. It's like comfort food. Like, when in doubt, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want to watch tonight. I think I'll watch a maniac chopping up bimbos with a knife. But at the end of the day, I love spooky haunted house stuff. Like, that's probably my favorite genre of anything. If I see a good haunted house movie and my hair starts to stand up on my arms, I'm like, ooh, I wonder where they're going with this. There's spooky shadow or spooky noises going on. And my point in bringing that up is, like I said, I love slashers, but my favorite thing is the haunted house movie. And I feel like haunted house movie is the structure of Halloween. It might be a maniac killer with a knife, but it's shot and set up like a haunted house movie. Michael Myers might as well be a ghost, pale white face, hiding in the shadows, always in the corner, always watching the main characters, sneaking around, knows everything they're doing. And like, you can call it a slasher movie all you want, but at the end of the day, it's more like a haunted house movie.
He even dressed up like a ghost.
The whole thing is creepy dude sneaking around the house, playing the part of the ghost. Like, I mean, if that movie had been replaced with a ghost as the villain, it would make just as much sense and be just as scary, maybe even more scary. Well, I guess the whole
Except for
thing.
the part where you get shot.
Yeah, you can't shoot a ghost open
course.
chest 6 times.
Of course, he walked on off, so...
True.
whenever he was in the ghost outfit and had his glasses on, those wasn't even his prescription. He should have been bumping into shit.
I wonder how long it took him to get up the staircase.
I don't know. He probably didn't even put the glasses on until he got upstairs.
Yeah. He put that shit on, he's like, oh, fuck this, man. Hold on, I'm gonna go upstairs. That chick's not gonna be scared if she hears me fall down the staircase.
I'm not going to be able to stab her if I break my arm.
In 1981, when they were filming Halloween 2, they actually shot like maybe 3 additional scenes for Halloween 1 because Halloween had been picked up to air on television. They actually filmed a few extra scenes to fill out Halloween 1 to pad out the runtime, which actually has Michael Myers in an institution as a little boy.
Was any of that released with the Scream Factory or anything?
They released the individual scenes. I don't think they've actually released
TV cut?
the full cut, yeah. Like, not the whole version, but the TV scenes are on there as a bonus feature to, so you can go in and watch them, but it's not actually edited into the film.
I don't know why they wouldn't have done that, considering they gave the producer cut to the other one.
Yeah, and in Halloween 2, when they released Halloween 2, the Scream Factory edition, they have the full television cut of Halloween 2 on a separate disc.
Or maybe it was a rights thing or something.
They've got 17 editions of Halloween on Blu-ray, and they've got the bonus, like the extra scenes on there as a bonus feature, but they never actually cut it together as a whole film. Somebody out there needs to do that and then put it up on a torrent site and run for their lives. Did you know the Michael Myers house in Halloween was one of the oldest houses on that street in South Pasadena, California? And at some point in the 1980s, the house was scheduled for demolition, and a local guy who was like really into the town's history was like hell-bent on like, you can't tear this house down. Can I buy it? What can I do to buy it? And he didn't really have the money, but like he had a rare coin that was like a dollar bill. I don't know what kind of coin it was. He literally said, here, take this coin, gave it to the construction crew. He said, here, hang on to this, and I'll buy the house and I'll move it. And they said, you got 1 week. If you don't move that fucking house in a week, we're going to tear that fucker down. He moved it down the street next to the hardware store that's actually in the film, where Lee Brackett, the sheriff, is talking to the kids. Somebody's broken in the building. There's still a couple of knives, some rope, and a mask. That's not suspicious.
Oh yeah, was that hinting that Michael Myers stole the mask?
Yeah, that's the whole point. He's like,
Did we not see him before that with a mask?
Before that? That was kind of a weird continuity thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed him. I think the implication is that the alarm had been on all night or something. And that they were opening the business. I don't know. I'm not sure. There seemed like a little bit of a continuity thing there. But anyway, the guy who stopped the demolition crew, it was like just tearing down old shit in town, said, you can't tear this house down. It's part of the history of this town. It's really old because it was built in like the 1880s or something, an old Victorian house. Bought the fucking Michael Myers house for $1. Moved it down the street across from the hardware store that's in the film. Didn't even know it was the Michael Myers house. He had no fucking clue. He just bought it and preserved it and put it on a piece of land that he didn't even own. He just fucking moved it so they wouldn't tear it down. He just put it on a random piece of land. I think he bought the land later, and now to this day that place is a chiropractor's office.
Go get your back realigned by Michael Myers.
Yeah, no shit. How do you feel about Donald Pleasence's performance in Halloween?
Stole the show.
Pretty much. You got like a lot of green actors, and like that's fine. Everybody's got to start, and everybody's doing really good for the most part. They're pretty fucking natural, but then you get a seasoned asshole like Donald Pleasence comes running in and steals every fucking scene he's in. That fucking cold, chilling business at the end when Laurie's like, "It was the boogeyman, wasn't it?" And he says, "As a matter of fact, it was." He only filmed for a few days. Think about that. He only came, they had a 20-day film shoot. He came in for like 2 or 3 days. I think they had him for 3 days. He made $10,000 a day to come in and fucking steal the show.
It was worth it.
Yeah, and we all reap the benefits. And as a matter of fact, with the ongoing series and shit, like as terrible as those movies got over time, watching it for Donald Pleasence became kind of the main thing.
Yeah.
Because luckily he stayed loyal until he died, unfortunately, while they were doing reshoots for Halloween 6, which was a fucking nightmare of a movie.
So he stuck around till 6?
Yes, but like, I mean, that was right before H2O. But he also stuck around out of respect for John Carpenter, of all things, because him and John Carpenter has famously said that, like when they were working on the movie together, he was like horrified because Donald Pleasence was a professional, seasoned, twice his age. And if you watch any of the behind-the-scenes footage when Carpenter's trying to direct Pleasence, he looks horrified. Because it's a matter of respect, because he liked him and respected him. It was just like, this guy's outclassing me on every bit. And but because they became friends after they filmed the original film, over the next like 5 to 10 years and shit, Donald Pleasence was, out of respect for John Carpenter, loyal to the series, as stupid as the series tended to get. Stay loyal to try and give it some, level of respect and authenticity compared to the original, because poor John Carpenter had to sit on the sidelines while they just made shit sequel after shit sequel without him. Yeah. How do you feel about Dean Cunny's?
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
The only person I've ever used the only person I've ever heard that used that word was Daniel Day-Lewis.
I've never used that word ever in the history of anything. Oh, it's so trashy. The most severe matter at hand is, how do you feel about Dean Kunduz' cinematography?
The look of the film was really good. It's probably
It's frustratingly good
yeah, it's
to some degree.
I don't know, it's probably almost the best horror cinematography as far as the genre goes, because you know there's
Right.
other visual movies like that are really good, but for a slasher, I think that's, you know, top notch.
And to some degree, it's like what makes the movie. Like,
Yeah.
had they shot it slightly differently, it wouldn't be the same fucking movie. If they shot it like fucking Friday the 13th with like a high level of grain and without that anamorphic fucking lens on it, like almost every scene is like a fucking painting. It's like just solid, locked down with the, you know, if you, you know, the gliding shots, the Panaglide shots that they did as Michael Myers, but like those are only a handful of little scenes. But like everything, that fucking slow fucking camera just locked down on all these wide shots, like just fucking takes the budget and just elevates the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a movie that costs $300,000 that has like, it looks like it has the budget of like fucking Star Wars or Jaws, because that fucking anamorphic lens, it looks like a fucking high level Hollywood masterpiece if Hollywood made masterpieces.
Yeah, the look of a movie goes a long way with me. If it looks like shit, I can't really get interested in it. Not, you know, that's not always the case.
There's a few exceptions, yeah, but like at the end of the day, if you give me like a slow burn movie with like nice steady cinematography, I'm gonna be more enthralled than some fucking like quick cutting shaky camera bullshit. What are you gonna do? It's like, I don't know why more directors, I mean, I've heard that directors like lenses that like have that like 16:9 kind of frame filling, but like, because it's easier to fill the frame out. But at the end of the day, it makes it look cheaper and it looks like a fucking TV movie when they could be using this fucking anamorphic lens to fill out the screen and give it some goddamn scope. I tend to gravitate more toward anamorphic shot movies with a wide fucking lens.
I heard something up there.
Is it Michael Myers?
Somebody's walking me in my car.
Oh no, this isn't good. So, John Carpenter has a huge dick. And that's why Halloween worked. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Because producer Erwin Yablans came up to him. He's like, yo, you ever heard of Trancas International Pictures? John Carpenter's like, just give me some fucking money. And John Carpenter took his dick. He said, and Erwin Yablans is like, you're right, I'll throw about $300,000 down on that motherfucker.
That's 300 grand worth of dick.
And look what it produced.
The second greatest movie of 1978.
Next to what? Superman the movie?
Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, god damn it.
We should fucking do hand puppets.
The fuck does that have to do with my job? We're gonna get fired if a customer comes in.
The customer
and
comes
we're
in,
hand puppeting.
No, we rent the movies out. The puppets are us.
Oh, what the fuck's wrong with you, man?
I don't know.
You've been smoking that gangrene lately.
Yeah. That's just not good for you.
That's what I hear.
I think that's what John Carpenter was smoking.
When you saw that puff of smoke go through the frame. Oh my god, you know what's even better? People talk about that puff of smoke scene where the girls are walking down the street and you see this puff of smoke go right by the camera. If you pay attention in that same goddamn scene, there's a couple of assholes hanging out on the porch watching them film. They're not even crew members. They're just a couple of dudes hanging out on the porch. And as soon as like the girls walk past a bush, you see like two dudes like go, like look over the bush, and like that distracts me every fucking time. Jamie Lee Curtis is pretty fucking solid in that movie. Like, she never acted in a film before. She had done some television, I think, at the time. But,
who gives a fuck about television?
yeah, I mean, television's not real. It's all a bunch of horse shit. Just want to sell you soap.
Available now, Schlockbuster Video Soap. Do you watch too many movies that have you feeling dirty all over? Schlockbuster Video Soap, you creep.
Rope is optional.
Soap.
Yeah. Preferably soap on a rope, because we don't want any incidences.
Speak
But,
for yourself. And a lot of people don't know this, but, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis portrayed very well and very clearly in the movie that she was...
Who played Jamie Lee Curtis?
Laurie Strode.
Okay.
She made it very clear, just through her acting talent, that she was the sister of Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's one thing we were 100% sure about.
Yeah, and so some people didn't quite pick up on it, so it leaves them a little baffled in Halloween 2. But, you know, you just missed it, that's all. Don't spill that on our TV.
I can't. I don't want to, because it sent me back about $15.
That's how we watch all of our high-quality Blu-ray.
Yeah. They sell these at all Circuit City outlets.
Circuit City. Or maybe the show should just be this bad every time. Yeah, that's how do you sustain a series that long, you know?
Sexual tension. Like X-Files.
Sexual tension, huh?
Nothing turns me on more than a man in a station wagon with a pale face.
You know, for a man that's been locked up since, how old was he, 7, 6?
I don't even know, to be fair. He was like,
Well,
I would say under the age of 10.
because he was locked up for 15 years.
No.
For a man to be locked up for 15 years, he sure maneuvered that station wagon like a champ.
Do you remember the scene when he jumped over the back and flashed his junk at that nurse?
That was my favorite.
Exactly. He's like, thanks for the sweet ride. I'm going to go take this and stalk my sister now. Show her my junk while I'm at it.
Yeah, he was not only a serial murderer, he was a serial flasher.
Exactly. Oh, man.
That's what he needed the jumpsuit for. So he could just flash him
One zipper from top to bottom.
but it wouldn't fall down.
Exactly.
And you just take that old bloody jumpsuit off at the end of the day.
Throw it in the back of your station wagon and drive off into the sunset. Oh. Oh, man.
He ain't got time to mess around with a 3-piece suit.
He's got a goddamn job to do that does not involve underwear.
That's what I was going to say. He's just under that jumpsuit. It's all skin.
Starting to chafe.
I guess that's when the station wagon come in handy. When the fabric was rubbing too much.
Oh, fuck.
They're getting there to rest his weary bones.
Can lay that back seat down.
So Just strip down and spread out.
Oh, fuck. Hope that thing gets good gas mileage. Because you got a lot of stalking to do.
You know, I was wondering about that. Wherever he was coming from, did he stop and get gas?
Son of a bitch gets out of the car. He's like, hey, I've been stalking like 3 teenagers all fucking day. I'm a little low on gas. I don't have any cash. Can I get about 6 gallons?
You can either fill it or get stabbed. That's up to you. Whatever you feel like today.
Like, listen, I don't have a lot of time to waste either. My curfew's up at fucking 12. I'm gonna need that gas.
And check the fluids.
My brakes are acting up a little bit.
Just top off all the fluids. Rotate the tires.
Exactly, I was about to say that.
I really got some work to do.
I was not planning to be driving all night. Why do they put this thing in there that keeps you from spilling it?
To keep you from spilling it.
I'm not worried about spilling it. Spilling it's not going to be a problem.
It might be a problem.
I'm so glad that my Finnish friend came over to visit and he left his water bottle. Which one do you like? Are you a Blu-ray man or a DVD man? To be fair, there's some DVD covers that are pretty sweet compared to that piece of shit 35th anniversary edition.
Yeah.
That Blu-ray cover sucks. This one's okay. It's traditional.
Mm-hmm.
But both of these are pretty sweet.
Yep.
Even though they're an outdated format from the 1990s. They weren't even good back then. I kind of like that one. From the early 2000s. What? What'd you say?
Alright, now was there a story about that one?
This one? Oh, shit. I grew up watching a VHS copy of this movie. I got back in the 90s. When I first started collecting movies. When I was like 10 years old. I bought it on VHS. Sleek, just plain black cover. Just pretty much like this, except it had a white logo instead of an orange one. And I decided that maybe I should get it on fucking DVD sometime in the 2000s. And I went to a Walmart because it's my favorite horror flick ever made. I went into the Walmart and there was some, I don't know, what do they call them? I think some people call them employees at a Walmart. And there was some hack cocksucker that was stocking movies. I said, hey, do you have a fucking copy of John Carpenter's Halloween? Because I saw one recently and I'm looking for it. I can't seem to find it. He goes, oh yeah, John Carpenter's Halloween, 1978. Jamie Lee Curtis. It's right over here, sir. And my eyes rolled into the back of my fucking head.
And how did that make you feel?
Okay, let me tell you this. I did get online afterwards and track that son of a bitch down, and last I heard, people hadn't heard from him since 2006. His name was Tim.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're watching, Tim,
Yeah.
put that movie dick away. Halloween, eh?
Oh, Halloween. It's my favorite day. Today's Halloween. That's why we're at fucking work. Making $4 goddamn an hour. Meanwhile,
$4 is the holiday pay.
like, do we have benefits? Do I get dental? Or does that come free when Michael Myers puts his fist through my face and throws my teeth over a goddamn bathroom stall? Is that dental? I would call it dental.
That's some form of dental.
It's some form of goddamn dental.
I think they call that an extraction.
It might be. That's too much work.
Yeah.
I paid him $45. He did $65 worth of work.
He took all the wrong teeth. And those monster thumbs.
Exactly.
He pulled 3 at a time. Barehanded.
Hold on.
But he was courteous. he was.
Yeah, he was gentle.
He kicked
I
me.
mean-
He kicked me in the head to dull my senses.
I almost choked to death on the blood. But he was efficient and he got it done in a timely goddamn fashion. Did you make sure to get all that shrimp out word?
Give me all the money, I'm a bad guy!
Yeah, the cash register won't open unless there's a transaction in progress. You got a debit card, credit card, use condom, Schlock.
No, I didn't get the fucking shrimp.
Shrimp.
Would you like a copy of John Carpenter's Halloween?
I love that movie, hurry up, I gotta go!
Here's your money. Don't worry about returning that movie.
Where's my bicycle?
Should we call the cops?
Nope.
Should we buy all the movies we want?
Yep. I knew keeping the store would be a good idea.
That's embarrassing.